It was a very good year. I mean, I think for us to finally become regular race winners, podium finishes was a huge step forwards for us. Very big regulation change last winter, which gave us an opportunity to try to come up with something which was different to previously and interpret the regulations as well as possible. And I think we did a decent job of that. Unfortunately, the double diffusers hurt us at the start of the year. We didn't believe they were legal, they were deemed legal, and that meant it wasn't really until Silverstone where we finally got what we wanted on the car that we were able to properly develop the car to suit double diffusers, and that first half of the season put us on the back foot a bit for the second half. If the season had started at Silverstone, then I haven't had it up, but I believe we'd probably be champions. Yeah, I think it was a decent car. Certainly of the single diffuser cars at the start of the year, then we were clearly the quickest. Then obviously everybody developed double diffusers, but still we were able to win China with a car before it had its second diffuser. We were able to put some decent showings in. Bahrain probably was one that escaped us. We probably should have won that one, so it was a promising start. Really just trying to understand the effect of the regulation changes. That was the big thing. So the biggest regulation change we've had probably since flat bottoms came in back in 1983, so a really big change. And for us, certainly me personally, I hugely enjoyed that because it gives the opportunity to try to understand from a clean sheet of paper what's the best way to interpret these regulations, how should we do it. It's not about endless iterations on tiny little details. It's really big picture thinking, and that's the part of Formula One I enjoy. First of all, a lot of our research is through CFD, which is effectively aerodynamics in a computer, and that allows us to gain an understanding of how the airflow around the car works. So I use the computer in that sense, or I observe the findings of it. I'm not a programmer. And then I try to interpret that understanding onto the drawing board. So it's a kind of a mixture, but I'm only one part of it. We have a hugely talented group of engineers here, and I think it's a tribute to them as well. The changes for next year are quite small. No refuelling is the main change. Slightly smaller front tyre is another change. Other than that, the changes are a detail really. The only change for us, of course, is that the double diffuser this time will be designing into the car, whereas this year we've had to adapt the car to a double diffuser. So that hopefully gives us a bit more potential to develop that concept. But it will be a development of this year's car. It will be a refinement, but hopefully a sensible refinement. Essentially, it's a packaging problem. For sure, the wheelbase becomes longer because the fuel tank has to become longer. It becomes wider, which then puts pressure on the size of the radiators, because basically laterally we carry the radiators here, the fuel tank in the middle. So if you want a bigger fuel tank, you inevitably tend to end up with narrower radiators. But they're relative details. It's not a big effect. The bigger unknown is how this affects tyres. For sure we'll be hard on the tyres at the start of the race, so key is trying to understand how to manage tyres early on in the race. As is brake wear. The cars will be much heavier, so that means the brakes have to work harder. So there are all those little factors that are affected by the no refuelling regulation. It's a difficult one. Tyres are probably the least well understood area on the car now, partly because they're supplied by an outside supplier, Bridgestone, so we receive a tyre with some fairly simple modelling of the tyre supplied to us, and then it's up to us to try and understand as best we can the rest of it. But they're very complicated and temperamental things, tyres, and I think nobody properly understands them at the moment. We would have liked to have won it, but we came close. I think we gave Brawn a decent run for their money. As I say, it was the damage at the start of the season that probably hurt us a bit, but it's been a great season for us. 5 wins and a step forwards.